Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Break Room. In today's edition, we're going to talk about the latest development in the Sam Bankman-Fried fraud case. Warner Street and in the newspapers is that he's trying to dismiss 10 out of 13 criminal charges.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I mean, guys, before we before we start talking about this craziness, I mean these charges. I mean, they go from the ones he's trying to dismiss. The politician one where he's. I think we talked about this in the previous break room of him basically, or no, previous show actually, where he was accused of bribing Chinese officials, but also he was accused of donating money to politicians in America in a certain of a scheme.
Yes.
So,
So
but
yeah,
before,
it was especially what we talked about in our show was the fact that he donated to both the Republican and the Democratic side uh, during for the primaries that took place in 2022.
yeah. So, but before we continue, guys, we have a should I show you guys? We have a playlist where we cover all the topics from all the way when it started, the collapse. We also dive into the crazy stories about their team sharing the love, being lovely to each other, but not to their customers. Um, or they were lovely towards their customers. It just depends how you do, how you want to look at it. And also his feud with CZ of
Binance.
Binance. Yes. And also donations. So guys, go check out this this playlist if you want to see what we oh, I see here we did a 4.5 hour show about this back
That,
then.
wa- that was at the
Yeah, that
beginning
was
stages of Double Touch Show.
yes. Well, now we don't do 4.5 hour shows, but to look back, that's
That's
quite
crazy.
a lot. It's
Crazy.
quite a lot.
But it was back then. It was actually, let's say, live shows where we would participate as well and interact with people. So
Yes. We used to do that. Indeed, those are the live shows we where we interact, and we want to reintroduce those as well. So,
yeah,
guys, if you don't,
my
if you're watching it for the first time, oh, you want to say something?
yeah, that. So before we proceed, the subscription, we want to reach 1,000 subs by the end of June of this year. So we have approximately 6 weeks to go, 6, 7 weeks to go. And we think it's possible because approximately 90% of you guys are watching and rewatching our videos, but for some reason you're not subscribing. Probably because you're seeing the shows on your feed and you think, yeah, there's no reason to subscribe. But you subscribing means a lot to us. If you get value, if you get entertainment, it means we really want you to subscribe because it means a lot to us because it helps us get to the monetization of our channel, which would in turn enable us to put more into the production of the show. For those of you who's been watching us for a while, we've been posting consistently. Don't take our word for it. Go check out our channel. Go check out the various playlists. We've even introduced shorts uh, like 2 weeks ago, and that's also going to be a permanent part of the channel. So please subscribe because it would mean a lot to us.
Yes. So let's continue right away with Sam Bankman, SBF, the disgraced ex-CEO of FTX is trying to dismiss 10 out of 13 criminal charges. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I think we were talking about this, all the additional charges that they kept adding up after he was indicted in New York, Manhattan to be precise. And I mean, after the initial arrest in Bahamas and the extradition. They added, after that they added the politician charge, they added the bribery charge, and one more, I think, if I'm not mistaken, two or three extra charges on top of the ones they already had, like fish security fraud and a couple of others.
Yeah.
RJ.
And that's also good to mention that they were adding these up as the former colleagues of SBF were pleading guilty. So, so they, of course, the prosecutor, the prosecutor was strategic in the whole um, in the whole process. They tried, of course, they want the big fish, obviously, and that's SBF, and they have the evidence, etc. But what better way to do so than to seek corroboration by corroboration by the former colleagues slash lovers of SBF, amongst other his former girlfriend, uh, to plead guilty, or at least may I don't know if pleading guilty is part of the deal, but probably at least entering into plea deals where they would get a softer penalty, softer punishment, and in turn, to get there, they would need to snitch on SBF. And as they were doing so, as the former colleagues were entering into plea deals, the the charges kept piling on up.
Yes, yes.
I'm not gonna even gonna ask you, man.
You shouldn't. This was going to be crazy. If I would say what I think, yeah, I'm gonna keep a composure. Anyway, guys, this guy is the only charges actually just for the latest. So he dismissed 10 out of 13. The only charges that they are not contesting are conspiracy to commit commodities fraud, conspiracy to commit securities fraud, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. All other they try to dismiss. So he didn't do nothing on that.
Yeah.
It's gonna
And
be crazy.
dismissing basically means, so we talked about it in a previous show as well. It doesn't mean that he's admitting to the other three charges, but he's saying he doesn't even want to be trialed for those charges. So of course you can file for dismissal of certain charges if it's obvious from the get-go that they are n- unfounded, or the chances of you the chances of you being found guilty is very, very small, or that it's obviously nothing there.
Yeah, he's saying this is a clown show.
Yeah, it's a
This is
clown.
a clown show. That's why I
Yeah, I
pressed
understand
my
it. I
hand.
understand it. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
meant I was gonna leave that up to you.
Okay, okay, okay. I guess
You're
I guess.
welcome.
Thank you. I gave you the layup. You should have just dunked it, man. You're
Uh,
waiting for me to lay up myself and then dunk it myself. Come on, man. What are we
uh,
doing here? Anyway, guys. So the prosecutor have until May 29 to respond to this dismissal request, and the judge, Judge Lewis Kaplan, will hear the arguments on June 15. So, of course, guys, we will keep you up to date on this these developments into this case. Of course, we have the playlist already, so we have to keep following the case. As you can already see, we have closed the case recently, guys. Go check out that, or at least a part of that case, the Brett Favre case.
yeah,
Go check that out. Brett Favre and
Pat
Pat
McAfee.
McAfee found an agreement where he basically is saying what he has or have been saying all this time. I mean, sometimes you have to reiterate or repeat what you said already for the people who are deaf in the room, and that's the deal you strike. This is what it is. But guys, if you keep just subscribe as RJ said, and you will be kept up to date on this case. RJ, imagine for all the people who were basically standing there in a row, in a line, and we're all
I've seen him do it.
pleading guilty. Imagine the big fish getting off, and, and you're the one getting locked up.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not saying that's gonna happen, but just in the bizarre scenario that happens, who's holding the biggest L? The big L for snitches.
they'll be like, what are you in here for? I don't know, man. I don't know.
The big fish got away. The bait didn't work.
I don't know, man. I jumped.
Oh, bro.
I saw a boat. I jumped in it, but
Again,
I jumped on the boat. But
again. Give me a second. Give me a second. Give me a second.
yeah, yeah, man. But that's it's crazy. But it's crazy. But at the same time, it's uh, not surprising that Sam Bankman-Fried fraud is doing this because, of course, he wants to do as much as possible to, or at least use all the tools possible to reduce the chances of him getting punished, or at least receiving a punishment that's severe. So the more you do, the better it is. The better it is for him. So of course he would enter a motion, or at least file a motion. He would claim all these things because in his book there are 13 charges. If they can drop two, that means 11. That means that means 11 charges to focus on instead of 13. Now that might not sound like a lot, but if you have to imagine every charge you need to, it's basically something that you would need to focus on, seek defenses for. The defenses are always a bit different, so it might not seem like a lot, but it makes sense that he's doing it. He's basically throwing punches in the dark. So he's trying to throw it everywhere and hoping that he will connect one or two times.
Can you hear me? Okay, yes. I do agree. Yes, yeah, that is. I mean, he's throwing punches and he's trying to connect, Um, it's not like the rope a dope though, but it is crazy if you think about it. But like I said before, my audio just cut off. You would be I would be surprised if they get, I don't know, I missed like the first part of what you said, but did you say something about the dismissal, the chances of it being dismissed actually?
I didn't say anything specifically regarding that part. Um, but I did mention, so yeah, I mean the chances of dismissal is, it all depends on the how straightforward it is. So his claims are, and how straight, because the judge is not going to look in depth to see whether or not there's a chance that he will be found guilty or not. So because there's a trial, so it's highly possible, I mean unlikely, but it's technically possible that you can go to trial for all the 13 charges, and that he would be found innocent on all 13 accounts. So the fact that but if you're going to file a motion, it needs to be it needs to be very straightforward, because the judge is not going to analyze the argument like the judge will do it in the case itself. It's just going to look at what you're saying, the reasons why you're saying it, and it needs to be so straightforward and so evident that it would convince the judge that the chances of you, I mean, that there's nothing there, basically. So the chances are, so I don't know what evidence they have. So the prosecutor has, but taking into account the the nature of the case at hand, we're talking about someone that has um, made many people suffer, many investor has lost money. I know, for example, that there's I know two people personally who filed impact statements, right? So you need to file. Everyone that claims that it is that he or she is a victim
Victim?
needs to file an impact statement claim. So of course, and when you talk to them, they tell you as well, yeah, I did it, but I know that I'm not gonna get anything. So a lot of people suffered. People's images who has suffered. Tom Brady and other well-known celebrities who endorsed FTX now perhaps are facing reputational damages. So
And not only athletes, you also have YouTubers, right? They
you
got caught up in the
you
in
t-
the in the stray.
yeah. So a lot of people who got caught up. So the judge will of course weigh that as well, right? So and I believe, seeing as how the or at least taking into account the weight of the case, the severity of the case, the many victims, we're talking about billions of dollars here in damages, the chances of the motion to dismiss uh, being um, being granted by a judge is very slim because of the reasons I just mentioned. The motion needs to be perhaps even more straightforward than a regular motion would.
Mhm. Yeah, because I mean, Banksman's lawyers wrote in the filing to the Manhattan Federal Court that the U.S. government had brought the original indictment against him on December 9th in a classic rush to judgment, less than a month after FTX bankruptcy. So they're trying to say you should have let it develop, let the play develop, let the play develop. I don't know if you want to let that play develop. And they are actually saying, quote, rather than wait for the traditional civil and regulatory processes following their ordinary course to address the situation, the government jumped in with both feet, improperly seeking to turn the civil and regulatory issues into federal crimes. Oh. Uh, what they also said is that the campaign finance charge must be discharged because it wasn't included into the surrender warrant signed by the Bahamian government for extradition. But the Bahamian government for its extradition. They also add, I mean, basically the new charges. I mean, the alleged criminal conduct far beyond the original indictment. The alleged criminal conduct far beyond the original indictment and which are improperly brought. Even if they are considered, the charges should be dismissed as legally flawed. So basically, they're saying you stacked randomly without abiding by the laws, right?
Yeah.
The legal boundaries. Is that
Yeah.
how they say it?
Well, I don't. Well, it's basically the formalities, right?
Mm.
So
They're
because
trying to get off on technicals.
technicalities, yes,
Wow.
because the
Get the troops. Get the troops.
I've
be-
seen him do it.
because the if you I mean, okay, so to take it from a fundamental rights point of view, we all as human beings have the right to privacy, for example, of bodily integrity, right? We need to respect each other, those type of things. The right to so it is freedom of speech, freedom to choose your religion and all those things, right? But
Mm.
the law also says that in certain instances these rights and freedoms can be limited.
Mm.
And so when we're talking about criminal law, right, there is a infringement, a legal or a lawful infringement taking place. It's lawful because the law also states that, for example, in certain situation, you're allowed to take away someone's freedom, right? So that's basically the case when there
Legal
is,
kidnapping. Oh, I'm just kidding.
if it's legal, it's not kidnapping.
Continue, continue.
Yeah. So yeah, and so the formalities are there. So the formalities, so you can, so the law says, for example, you're allowed to break into someone's home, you're allowed to confiscate someone's and with someone it can be a company as well, right? A person or a legal person, but you have the right to confiscate things, you have the right to interrogate, you have the right to, and so on and so forth. But in order to ensure that it doesn't become a wild west, there are procedures, right? There are certain formalities and technicalities that need to be taken into account when infringing someone's law, or when, in this case, conducting or infringing someone's rights lawfully, or in this case, conducting the investigation, the criminal investigation. So they are basically saying, in short, that the prosecutor has, or the prosecutor's office has failed to abide by these formalities and technicalities, and therefore uh, they're looking for they're seeking dismissal of 10 of the 13 criminal charges.
This is crazy. This is crazy. With all this alleged, or with all this alleged snitching that's going on.
Yeah. But one thing that's also important to notice is that the judge can, and I'm not going into specifics, of course,
Mm,
because American law
very different.
is not, yeah, it's not, but the not all formalities constitute a ground for dismissal, or
Mm.
a ground for uh, or a ground for setting someone free. You know, the judge can, in some cases, choose to just to say that there aren't. So there are certain things that are minor that the judge might acknowledge that happened, but will not necessarily put any consequences, give any consequences. There are some things that have certain consequences. For example, a lowering in sentence, right? You can imagine. Let's say you have three things. You have three evidence that was brought into a case, but one of the evidence was brought in illegally. Then the judge might say, okay, then we can prove one and two, but we can prove the third one. And so these are all things that might be taken into account. Um, when looking at the, let's say, when taking when determining whether or not the motion to dismiss would be granted or dismissed.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I mean, as Sam already said himself, he acknowledges that FTX had inadequate, Jesus, risk management, but denies stealing funds, or as we saw in Brett's case, he would rather call it misappropriation of the funds. Maybe that's how he wants to look at it. Allegedly, he is. He was trying to distance himself from the day-to-day operations, basically. But I mean, as a CEO, and with the alleges, I mean, alleged,
Allegations, with the allegations.
yeah, the allegations from what we've heard, what we discussed in previous shows. I don't know if he can distance himself as much as he wants to.
No, especially as
Yeah.
as the CEO, as I mentioned in the past as well. As the CEO, you're responsible, even if you have. So there's a level of responsibility, right? So you're responsible for something. Doesn't mean that you actually did it, but in this case, we're talking about a criminal charge. So it's a criminal charge is, it's personally targeted
Mm.
towards him, geared towards him. So they would need to prove that he actually is guilty of these things. But again, we're not there yet. We're not in that phase yet. We're currently in the phase of, things are just starting up, and he's trying to file a motion to dismiss now because he doesn't want the judge to uh, he doesn't want these 10 things to be handled into court. But we've seen in the past, when analyzing court documents, uh, both complaints and reactions, how people basically just um, how judges or these lawyers, they might write a lot, but that doesn't mean that they're right.
Yeah.
So you can write a lot, you can make good points. Legally, it can sound, perfectly written sentences, but that doesn't mean that it's right. We saw that, for example, in the Michael Irving case, how Marriott time and time again keeps filing things and doing things, not avoiding, even avoiding the judge's
Order.
order. So far, so much so that the judge said that in his many years as a judge, he never experienced a blatant disregard for his orders as he did in this particular case with between Marriott, in the particular case between Marriott and Michael Irvin.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we've seen that we've seen this before. The judge will need to determine whether or not there are sufficient grounds to grant these dismissals. Even I don't think the judge will grant. Even if the judge grants them, I don't think it would be 10. I really doubt it would be 5.
They're stretching it. Basically, let's stretch it to the max and see what we can get out of this.
Yeah, because probably the prosecutor also stretched a bit, right? The prosecutor also knows I have a chance. I know here I might stand a chance, but here I don't, but I'm going to do it as well. So they're both throwing out their nets, hoping to catch some fish. Well, SBF is trying to get away from the net, but
I hope he doesn't swim towards that. Anyway, guys, I mean, and as a final thought about this, RJ, oh no, before I forget, guys, if you want us to dive deeper into the documents and break down these dismissals point by point, or at least a couple of them, please let us know in the comments. If you want us to I mean, do a full live show. I mean, this is only 30 minutes. We can do a bigger show breaking down the documents because we have them. We have them for you. Anyway, RJ, do you have anything else to add relating to this quagmire? Because I hope we can still see some people jump on that
stand.
Jump. What again?
On the stand.
Yeah. Jump up and down and say,
I've seen him do it.
we need to. I mean, guys, also let us know if you want us to cover the live trial. It's gonna be crazy if we can do that. At least trying to follow a couple of parts of that because it's. Let's see how many cases they can get off, remove of his charge.
Yeah.
Ajay, you have anything else to say?
If in closing, I would just say that we're gonna keep an eye on this, eye out. We'll definitely keep track of the case. This is usually we do it in a bigger show, live show, but this is just a small update. For this reason, it's in the break room. But feel free to check out the playlist, as KaiR already mentioned. We have the playlist of FTX, where you would find basically everything that happened from start. Actually, from the moment it started, we were covering it. So go check it out. And remember, before we leave you, we leave you with the reminder to subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to us. We want to reach 1,000 subs by the end of June. We have 6 weeks left. So please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We thank you for watching the video. Remember to like the video. That's the way you rate it. That way it gets pushed by YouTube. Remember to share the videos as well, with the video as well, with your friends, family, and your enemies, of course. And follow us on our socials at Double Touch Show on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. It's been a pleasure, and we'll see each other in the next one. Till next time.